We're back with another episode of Black in the Middle.
Middle class.
Middle of the map.
A podcast by three friends who seem to always find themselves stuck in between.
Black culture.
And white America.
If you're a believer that genuine conversations can be a first step to closing a divide, then you're in the right place.
The middle.
With us.
Let's go. All right, we are back. These are your hosts, Tim,
Travis.
Herman.
and we've got a special guest in the building today, Mr. Theodis Watson, no relation.
Hey,
We don't
maybe.
know yet. Look, we're still trying to connect the dots.
Right.
There's some 23
You related to
going
some
on.
of them Dixons down there in Arkansas?
No.
Are you?
I do have some Dixons in the family.
We got Dixons in our family.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
God.
Webbs,
6
you got the
degrees of-
Webbs, Whites.
I don't know about the Webbs.
Bro.
That's such a black conversation.
Yeah.
Hey. Well,
That's-
Well, your grandmama stayed.
That's literally how black conversations go, man, because everybody got roots to the South. My roots is Arkansas, too. So I meet a Brown who's from Arkansas. I'll be like, okay, like what part? You know, and then I go through the tree.
And then you
Hey,
ask
look.
them what tribe they're
Or
from.
Williams. Or on my Indian side.
Got
you know what I'm
Indian in
saying?
your family?
I do
Indian
have a
family.
pretty specific family history question. So there is a Watson that came out of the Men in Shreveport area that had, we'll just say, harmed a person. And then once they left that plantation, they ended up in Arkansas.
I don't think I heard that one.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so Nola's been doing her family trees in school.
Hey.
You've been getting all the,
Hey,
the
man.
backstory.
So, you know, I was from the peaceful Watsons. And you
Hey, we from the,
from the
hey,
burn this bitch down, get his
get it out the mud, Watson.
Yeah, you from the violent Watsons.
That's funny. All right, so Theodis is VP on the commercial lending side at
Central Bank of the Midwest.
Central Bank of the Midwest. So 20 years in banking.
Yes.
That sounds super
He's the
exciting,
community's
bro.
banker, though.
The community's banker.
That's what they
right.
call him
That's what-
in the streets, the community's banker.
I like that brand. I like that.
Yes. So I'm speaking from the community's banker, not from my financial institution today. So
Okay,
these
cool.
words are all Theodis Watson's thoughts.
Disclaimer.
And yeah, let me put that out there. I still need my job. I think mortgage is due on the 15th.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, these thoughts are my personal thoughts and from my experiences. And yeah, so yeah, very blessed to be here and be here to talk to you gentlemen today.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I know we've been trying to get you on the pod since season 2 at least.
About a year.
And I know how we met. My company started working with United Intercity Services, and you sit on the board.
Correct.
And so I saw you in a listening session when we were doing the rebranding.
Yes.
And I saw the name. I was like, that sounds familiar. And I looked on our potential guests of podcasts, and your name was next to Mr. Bone here.
That's right.
Because you guys had a connection before even that.
Yeah, man, we go way back. So, as he stated, he's a Missouri State Bear. So,
What sound do you make?
bear up. That's all you need.
Bear up.
That's all you need.
Woo woo.
Bear up. So I met him as a freshman, and he's a sophomore because I think you class in '99 from Hickman, right?
That's right.
Hickman Mills.
Cougars, baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
over there with Jason Friday. and
That's
them.
right.
So,
99 in Hickman. Okay.
Yeah. So
Did you know a Dorian Weaver?
New Dorian. Yep.
All right.
Barber.
So that's my ex-step brother.
Now that is a black conversation.
Right.
Too.
Hey, look, so this is no longer a conversation about banking. This is just a family tree, man. Let's bring it home.
6 degrees of black separation.
Absolutely.
when you grow up in the same city, the name game gets interesting.
Oh,
though.
it does.
Right.
It really do. So I met him as a freshman, and the relationship as a freshman, I pretty much just saw him in passing. You know, it was just like, hi and bye, what's up? It really.
Fellow black guy on campus.
Yeah, you'd
many
see him.
of us? Yeah.
He's just always cool.
Hey,
He's
some
always
ship hop
cool.
office, me and you.
Yeah, he's just always cool and laid back. So it's just, what's up? And I'm pretty similar. And then over the course of time, you just see each other more and more a little bit. And one of my friends was a Q dog, and he is a Q dog.
Okay.
So it's actually good to see him without his Crown Royal bag
Only?
and his gold boots.
Hey, he rocking the plum.
Bro,
Hey,
do they
sport
still
coat.
cross like that?
Yeah,
I mean, hey, we're we're a no hazing organization.
Right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so you
Not
know,
confirm nor deny these allegations.
yeah. So I mean, that's kind of my origin of meeting him, man. Was back in college.
That's what's up. So I guess, just kind of take us back to where you grew up and how you got to Missouri State and how you figured out that banking, of all the choices in kind of the business world, is where you wanted to end up, or where you at least found yourself.
No, that's an interesting question there too. But yeah, born and raised in Kansas City, went to Hickman Mills High School, go Cougars there, and was able to get an opportunity to go to Missouri State, played sports and everything, but I did not play sports at SMS. I was too much doing other things, having too much fun, but eventually had to get serious about school and, graduated. But how I got into banking is an interesting question. So funny, I have a son who is 20 now, and he's a junior in college, but had a son in college, right? So
okay, wow.
Had to have that conversation with moms on Mother's Day, right? Hey, Mom, after church. Yeah.
See what had
I
happened
got
was-
something to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
man.
so,
There's
man,
been a lot of blessings today.
so as sweat was dripping off my forehead, but yeah, she told me, hey, you got 3 things you got to do. You got to finish college.
Yep.
You got to take care of this kid.
Yep.
Hey, you got to get a job, man. This
Yep.
little money that
Yeah.
you was making, or we was sending to you, hey, that's on you now. That's going back into the sun or whatever. So
Yeah.
I had to get serious. I had to get a little bit responsible. So started working at Walmart. You said Walmart, but I was pushing carts. You was in the office. So and until
Stability.
Springfield, it gets hot, and so I started there about June. About July 1st hit.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh no!" I thought they was gonna put me back in groceries. No, they was like, "No, we're gonna put you out there."
Hotter.
You
Send them further.
Boy, you know where you at? You at Springfield. You gonna be outside.
Field Negro.
Right. Absolutely. So man, I had a friend of mine, and she's like, "Hey, we can, I'm working at this bank, Bank One. They opened up here. Hey, there's a job opportunity. You can try to apply." And you know what? I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and apply and go in this job and see if I can get inside somewhere." And the funny thing about it is, I got the job, and she didn't get hired. So I'm like,
Dang.
"Hey, I'm sorry."
word?
Yeah. So I owe my banking career to a
her
name to be
sacrifice.
unknown.
Oh, that's
Hey, I appreciate it. 20 years, here I am. So worked at
That's
a bank
awesome.
down there as a customer service rep, more for credit cards, which eventually turned into JP Morgan Chase. And then when I graduated, they wanted me to stay, but I had to get out of Springfield. I had a son at home, and I got to get back home, and started working for Commerce here, and started working downtown as a teller, and then worked my way up to the plaza, working as a personal banker. And then they had some leadership positions, being able to work in an in-store location in Mission, Kansas, which was a great experience because I had to learn how to do everything.
Right.
And then they asked me if opportunity to come back to the urban core. So I managed a location on 61st and Truce. Did that for a couple years and had a really good experience there. And then ultimately I had opportunity to manage the Plaza location, which is on obviously on 47th, one of the wealthiest communities in Kansas City.
Yep.
Had some great relationships, met some great people there, had some good experience. And then was able to get into small business at Central Bank. So, but yeah, no, it's been a really good ride. Banking is a really good career, and it's been good to me. So here
Outstanding.
we are today.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear. So, I want to kick off with something that's off script. So my mom and dad, they both were in banking. My grandpa owned 4-Star Tax Service, which he did all of the black families taxes in the city for years and years and years. And I don't my dad's a math guy. My mom's, I think she's more of just like a type A, black and white type of person, which, banking made sense for them. Me, not so much. But what drew you to it other than just that opportunity? That drew you to it, but why did you stay? What keeps you in that position as a communities banker?
One of the things that in my role, I didn't see many of us in it. And honestly, I had no idea what existed in the bank when I worked at the bank. And when I used to go there with my grandparents and my parents, all I seen was the tellers and the branch manager. And so I worked in those spaces. But my experience and just being involved, there's so many other opportunities. So that's what kind of encouraged me to stay in the game was to see, you got obviously the relationships from the personal banking, you got commercial, and you got investments, you got trust, you got insurance, you got security, you got HR, you got marketing, you got technology, especially now. Technology is a big thing with fintech. So what got me involved in that is just really staying engaged and seeing the opportunities. And then also I am National Vice President of Urban Financial Services Coalition, which is a minority organization that ultimately our goal is to see more senior vice presidents and senior leaders in financial service industry. We are a national organization. We have 8 chapters across the country. Our goals are to continue to expand more exposure. We give scholarships to students interested in getting in the financial service industry or business-related degrees. And also we do a lot of financial literacy programs and things like that to educate our community. So
that's awesome.
What keeps me engaged is being able to be involved with organizations like that. And I'll say one thing is when I was working at another institution, I went to go talk to some students, talked about savings, banking. You got kids, they're some paying attention, some, whatever. But one kid actually came into my bank and said, hey, I remember you coming to me about 5 years ago in my class.
Really?
I just got my job, but this is my first paycheck. And I'm depositing, open up a savings account. I almost cried.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what makes it all worth it, man.
I mean, I say one kid, I'm done. I can retire. But man, those things like that, just saying, hey, one kid listen, and if I can continue to encourage others, specifically any kid, but specifically my minority black kids, to feel comfortable and trust us as a financial institution. I mean, it's the cheapest way to do your banking sometimes. So you might as well, develop a relationship and find out who your banker is. And so that's what keeps me going.
Okay. I think back, I used to
actually talk about that trust.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. I love it.
No.
Go ahead.
Oh, no.
We got time.
So I take that back. I wasn't banking.
Okay.
It was Exchange City.
Oh yeah.
I was a banker in Exchange City.
So was I. I was the one cashing checks and creating, taking people's money.
I think I was the city manager at that.
I wanted to be the mayor so bad. I just thought
I don't remember. I have no clue what I was, but I'm sure it was something really important.
You was in private school then. They didn't do that. That was beneath them.
It was a public thing.
Right.
Maybe.
That's funny.
Man.
It's funny you said that.
Or
I was a banker at Exchange
Or
City.
he was at KCK and Exchange City was something totally different.
It was at the 7th Street Casino.
Yeah.
First of all, that wasn't there.
Let it ride, Ray.
We get the fake money.
Shake him up, shake him up, shake him up.
Hey.
7
Hallway dice.
That's funny. All right. Okay, cool. So I guess one of our first banking questions, is maybe this is just kind of a simple one for lay people out there like myself. Is what's the difference between a traditional bank per se, a credit union, and what we have called neobanks? Mm-hmm. Can you describe just the difference? And maybe I would say not. It could be from an entrepreneur perspective or from just a normal person looking for checking and savings.
No, good question. So traditional bank are usually private or public funded institutions, shareholders, people invest in the company, buy stock like a Bank of America or some other institutions like that. Credit union are ran by the members, right? So the members are owners of that bank and of that credit union. So honestly, you can get returns from a credit union if you deposit a certain amount of money. Some credit unions do that till this day, give their people a certain amount of money back for the number of deposits or amount of money you have in the bank.
Okay.
And some of these new neo fintech type institutions are online. You got an Ally Bank or someone who don't have a brick and mortar institution. Those are just online resources that can, honestly, they can offer sometimes better rates than some of the traditional credit union and non-traditional or traditional banks, because they don't have the overhead. So it's all online. I mean, processing is kind of what they're paying for. And all of them are somewhat regulated. Similarly, I know the banks are regulated by the regulators like the FDIC, Federal Reserve Bank, OCC. Credit unions have their own type of regulation, but they're not regulated by those. And the fintechs, they're normally regulated by some type of entity. The FDIC and Federal Reserve are institutions that typically try to manage that. You got to have some type of regulation, in my opinion, just to make sure, you're not having, fraudulent funds, fake PPP loans coming
Hey,
in. As we talked
right.
about.
Yeah.
But no, they're a lot. The main difference is credit unions are ran by members. Traditional banks are shareholders or private or public entities, and then neobanks are mainly usually private institutions. So yeah.
So I know from
Public.
my perspective, you know, kind of having my hands in a lot of different things, right? So we have this podcast, and you know, we've got a DBA. We're going to incorporate as an LLC. You know, get a bank account. We did a fundraiser, right? So we have money to deposit into it. You know, started another company. We've got an investment group. I mean, we could talk about all these different entities.
Nice.
But I typically go to like I had Bank of America when I was broke, right? And that $39 overdraft fee killed the game for me.
Yeah.
So switched to like Community America, then went to Arvest. I hate Arvest. Sorry, Walmart. But I have like 5 Arvest accounts. So it's hard to cut them. But my go-to is just like Novo or Ally, like these neobanks where I can get an account in like, 2 minutes. I don't have to worry about any stupid policies. Like I can't deposit checks online, or it's got like Arvest, I can't deposit over a $2,500 check. Like this is a business. People write us big checks. I got to go to the bank every time.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of having a traditional bank where there is kind of that customer service side of things, someone like I can talk to, and maybe some of the other cons or pros that come with a traditional bank versus just easy.
Great question. I always feel like banks are kind of like your clothes, right? It's your style. It's if you travel a lot, you might want a bank that's everywhere. Bank of America, U.S. Bank, da-da-da. If you're a more local, from a small business perspective, if you're a more local entity, you might want a good local bank because you can go in, walk in, talk to a commercial lender or the branch manager or investment guy. If you have a question or whatever, you can contact them directly and have that conversation. And then, with those neobanks, I mean, they're good to have. Maybe I would say personally from a personal account standpoint, not maybe for a business, because you would want to come in and ask questions. If you need a loan or if you need some other ancillary products and services like ACH, payroll, whatever other service that you may need, having that local bank can help you with that because, again, there's some services that we can offer you to kind of help your banking get easier. So if your system goes down and you don't have, you got to call a 1-800 number, sometimes it's difficult getting a contact person on the phone to solve that. And sometimes it's nice to just walk in the bank and have a conversation and find someone to help you with your issue.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because as soon as you started out talking about traveling, I was thinking about his comment with Bank of America. And the number one reason why I chose Bank of America as one of my banks is because no matter where I was, if I needed cash, if I needed something, if I was in Miami, New York, LA, or Seattle, I knew I could do it. And then I also had a bank that was local for me, which was Commerce, because I grew up through that bank because it's, in the Midwest. And I knew the bank tellers over in John Knox Village. And I would go over there and they knew me and they would take care of me or whatever I needed, which wasn't much because, I was probably depositing checks from Baskin Robbins or something like that.
$31.
Yeah. So, but they knew me, and I kept that entity, and then I started to grow it a little bit because I now have like 4 banks. But just that mentality, it's just the diversity, and I do love being able to go into a branch and get help every now and then.
Wait, you have 4 banks?
Yeah.
Just you as Travis Brown?
I got 4 banks.
How many banks do you have?
I'd have to count. But I have a lot of entities, though.
Yeah.
But Travis Brown is one entity, and you have 4 banks.
Travis Brown is a real entity. Big business. 4 banks.
Okay.
Let me ask you all a question. So why do you have so many banks?
Yeah, help me out.
You said you have a couple too, so your question.
I got a lot.
That's really a good question. So I had Commerce because I grew up with that at Bank of America because I wanted to be able to be accessible everywhere. And then when I got a mortgage, I got a mortgage with Arvest, and so then I got that bank.
Oh, okay.
And then I had another loan purchase, and then it was Bank Midwest.
Okay.
So,
okay, so you had loans through those banks.
Yeah,
but you
see,
don't have,
Arvest was they were slick. They're like, oh, we'll give you, $100 or whatever if you open up an account today. I'm like, well,
I'll take it.
I'll take that free $100.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so all right, so So you still have your Commerce Bank, but why? Just because you're nostalgic and you like to say hi to Ethel, who's still at the teller? And
You know
John
what?
Knox
it's also a strategy of savings, right? Like
there you go.
I know that if I put money in these accounts, that it's going to go to this, and I know if I'm going to put money in this account, then this is my. I'm gonna do whatever I want with it, and I know if it's this, maybe it's gonna be my mortgage.
Sure.
So it also helps me stay disciplined, and so I'm focused on, like I won't touch one particular bank, and I'll just watch it grow.
Yeah.
Then break open in case of emergency. Bam!
Okay.
I know I got it there. So it
That's
also
a
gives me a sense of discipline because it's like I'm building wealth through my savings program because I believe in paying myself first.
Hey, absolutely. I
And
agree with that.
Just to add to it, like we were talking about before, each bank, the FDIC will only insure up to $100,000 within each institution. So if you did have all of, I'm just going to say more than $500,000 in one account, right? Like you still only get 100. So from that standpoint, insurance, it makes sense.
That's why I diversify all my accounts.
But I think that's
Put 100,000 over here.
Exactly.
100,000
But
I'm gonna
here.
let you know that they have
400,000.
increased that to 250. So you got an extra
Okay.
150,000 laying
All right.
around.
He do.
Hey,
Yeah, come on
we
over.
ain't gonna talk about that. No, but it does kind of go to two questions that we have later on, which which was, so like I'm kind of like you. I also have 4 different banks for various reasons, but if it matters to build that relationship with your banker, because I can tell you, I'm with Bank of Lee Summit, which became Security Bank. Yep. I mean, we moved all of our assets into that bank to have like everything in this one bank to secure a business loan, which I was kindly walked out of. But I'm like, I mean, we had like money in there, and it was still like,
Time out. They walked you out of the bank.
bruh, dude put his hand on the small of my back and like,
Oh, wow.
right? Yeah, I was like,
Was you wearing the Scully
nope.
and the T-shirt?
Nah,
Did you
man.
dress for the occasion?
Of course
go-
I did, man.
With the Scully and
hey.
Black Puma.
Why
But
do
even if I didn't,
hoodie.
why do we always dress up like?
Yeah.
I always dress up like when we go look at houses.
bro, right? Because
I'm
you
like,
know,
I need to look like I got more money than I actually do.
right? I'm like,
Probably
nah.
the wrong direction to go, but yeah.
Hey, look, so then I learned more. They're like, we're just super conservative here about, our lending, whatever. So I'm like, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Take our shit out, move that shit
The
to
way
another
your
bank.
skin color is melanated.
Yeah.
We
So,
Yeah.
Damn.
and then Bank of America, because I travel a lot. But in that instance, I was like, well, maybe growing up thinking that relationship with the banker mattered, like how that shit worked for my dad and all his friends when
Yeah.
it came to capital. It didn't work for me. But I guess, does it matter still having that relationship, or are there too many like people or too many levers, I guess, within that banking?
like your relationship is with an influencer instead of a decision maker, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like how does that's
question.
my big question is what
No,
is the benefit?
I think I think relationship is very important because, again, but let me take a step back. All banks are not treated equal or created equal, I would
Right.
say, right? So relationships matter. It should matter in every assistance. If we don't have customers, we're not in business, right? And so that commercial lender who did that, if that happened to me, I would say, hey, well, if we can't help you, let me find you alternatives. There are some other resources that can help you. There are some micro lending firms out here. There are some micro lending firms. There are some other banks that, hey, possibly can help you with this situation. I've referred people off because not all banks have the same appetite for certain deals. So I say that to say, one experience should not affect all. But even if you don't bank with me, I still want that relationship. If I can't do your loan, I would still love to take care of your deposits and all that, because your banker should be a part of your team, especially in business, just like a banker, just like your insurance, your accountant. There are resources from a bank standpoint that we can point you in the right direction. There's people come to me and say, hey, you know anyone who does marketing? Absolutely. I can find somebody who can help you with marketing, right? I just call Udall, right? Here we go. So those are one of the things that we should be doing as an institution. Now, do they all do that? No, I know that. But having that relationship with a good banker is very important, because that's how we can achieve whatever financial success that we want to achieve.
So then does that relationship with the banker, on the back end of that banking relationship with the banker and the chain of command for how you would talk to loan specialists or underwriters, like, does that relationship matter in your world for being able, like, hey man, I got a guy that's on the cusp when it comes to credit, cash flow, whatever it is? Do your relationships matter in your ability to help people secure lending or lines of credit for their businesses?
Yeah, for their business, absolutely. And also even from a depository side, right? So I work hand in hand with our branch manager, and hopefully I'm answering your question, but I work hand in hand with all lines of our business. So if you need a mortgage, we have a mortgage guy. If you need a branch manager, open up your accounts and set you up with online banking and make sure you order your checks and make sure your debit card is there on time, I'll partner with our branch managers and our retail team. You need investments? We got an investment guy. We will walk you into that door. So it is very important for us to cultivate that relationship because you are an asset to us. We want to take care of you because you will tell T-Bone here and T-Bone will tell the next person, and that's how you build your relationship. That's how banks' reputations are improved. So that should happen. But I know that doesn't happen all the time. So that's why having a good go-to person as far as a banker or having a good relationship, I think personally is very important because everything revolves around money. I mean, I truly believe that. And if you can have someone who can point you in the direction, and even if you don't bank with me or bank with my bank, I can still find you a good investment guy. I can still find you a good insurance guy. That's why it's so good to have those resources and having a good banker because we're so connected to everything, to everybody, small businesses, everything.
Yeah, and I would imagine, and some of your conversations that you're having, because sometimes you're having conversations with people who are talking about the dead, like, you know, like, and there's beneficiary issues and things like that. So I'm imagining that you're probably having to help people help themselves as far as maybe even getting legal.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the cheapest way to pass on your death, is payable on death, right? You know, it's been times where I had situations where mom died and she didn't have anyone on her account. Kids come to the bank and $50,000 in the bank. Now they got to go through probate. Yeah, so that's going to cost the family. Don't even have money to go through probate. So the bank, unfortunately, has to follow this process to be able to they have to go to court. They have to find a lawyer. They have to go. You know, so there's almost $5,000, $7,000 worth of expenses out the gate. That if mom just would have added you on or as a POD, payable on death. That money would have been cut the check straight to the kids.
Bro, those are the things that we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Well, it's the things that people our age need to be having conversations with our parents about.
Right.
Because, you know, our parents are getting to that age where they're in the 60s and 70s. And
life insurance.
Life happens.
Yeah.
And it's a discussion that you kind of have to have. I mean, I've had it. And it's
not
best
sexy.
to be prepared.
It's not a sexy
topic.
topic.
Not sexy.
No.
You don't want to think about it. You can't fathom it, but it's a conversation that you have to have.
And generations thrive based off of how tightly buttoned up that is, right? Like if you
the
already got that,
transition of wealth.
man, it just can be smooth and painless, and then there you're set up.
Or you can have siblings fighting over
Bro,
stuff because it ain't.
Yeah, siblings fighting
over college debt.
And the bank is, like I said, the bank's in a hard spot.
We're going to take daddy's loan.
and then we get the reputation that we're not here to help.
Yep.
But the parents or whoever didn't have it set up. And I'll give you an example. One time I had a young lady, she was an older lady, I call her young, but passed away, never made no more than $35,000 a year. Used to come to the bank every other Friday, balance her checkbook, wanted a legal notepad, and, you know, she just took care of business. Passed away. Kids came in the bank. Hey, I know my mom had some money here. You know, Theo, she always told me if she has any issues, come see you, and they did. The thing happened was they thought she just had maybe a couple $100 in the bank. This woman had $1.5 million in the bank. She walked to work.
That's the business.
Or rode the bus in the wintertime.
Wow.
She was a cleaner, and she just saved her money. And the person she used to clean for taught her about investing and saving and all that. So she learned from that.
Wow.
Never made over $35,000 a year. Walked away $1.5 million.
That feeds exactly into what you said. Like,
man.
You know why she did that, fellas? Because she paid herself first.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And the kids' mouth dropped. They couldn't believe it. She making more money had more money than they ever thought that they had.
So what was next? Like, did you cut him a check?
Hey, they brought in a death certificate. Hey. I knew she passed away. Brought her a death certificate, 50% each kid.
When was that account empty though?
I had to give them a cashier's check. They walked out the bank. I tried to talk
good luck.
Now that's another story.
What you should do with this money? Nah.
But I mean that's the other problem.
You could take it.
Yes.
But if you kept it,
Yes, I tried.
That is the real problem because, I mean, if you were to turn that into, what's something that pays out disbursements that you can reasonably take care of yourself or whatever, but,
Nah, cuz.
hey,
22-inch wheels.
1.2.
Right?
yeah,
Ford
I
Explorer.
guarantee you there was a car dealership that was hit up immediately.
Bro.
I had a kid whose father took care of business. He turned 18, which now I learned I'm up on my wheel at 25. If
Yeah.
I pass away and my kids are not 25 yet, they're not getting the money because this kid at 18, he had more.
Bottle service.
He literally walked out. He had $1 million at 18.
Duffel bags.
A year later, the boy on the bus stop.
God damn.
I put that on my life.
Hey.
That was one of the stories that got me thinking, like, I need to educate more.
Education,
I need to
yep.
teach these kids more, my community more, because the father did what he had to do. But obviously, he's 18. He assumed that that he'll have the right resources. And one of the things, one of the key pieces of that story was the grandmother, the father's mother, said all she asked was him pay off her little home equity loan, which was like $10,000. He can have the house. He can fix it up. When I'm gone, he can have it. He laughed at her.
Damn.
So a year later, when he's on the bus stop,
Jeez.
she was like, he can't move back in. I don't know what happened, but that was one of those situations where it was just like, wow.
So
It's just amazing.
That's crazy.
it's
yeah.
Are you
go ahead.
transitioning?
No.
Hold on, can
Go
you
ahead.
imagine having $1 million at 18?
I know that's the other thing.
Bro, that's all these ball players. That's why they do so many
like, there's so many bad stories out there. Like, better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
man.
That's
better.
That's
I'd
all I
like
was
to
gonna
think
say.
that I
man.
would still be eating at the cafeteria in college,
man.
but I would probably not be.
Let me
It's
get
no more dollar menu.
No,
You
man.
ordering from the 1 through 10
No, I
now.
would have
Filet
been super
mignon.
size.
get 10,000
Filet
number
Yeah.
ones.
Well, shoot, with being in Springfield, I would have been at like
Sizzler?
I've been like Cheddar's or something like that. Or
They've been throwing rolls at you.
Buckingham's barbecue.
That's it.
Give me the pit combo.
Give me 2 of them.
You want a pit? I got you.
Yeah.
So that goes into the story about. So I guess I am in a transition now, but it in my brain space, right? So we think about the decisions that we make as Black folks that are poor. That is the one. But there are things before that we could do. So like, how do we teach people that it's important not to do that before we make those dumbass decisions? Because we're about to experience this huge transition of Black wealth because our age group is the first generation of really parents that kind of have money that have been doing that kind of had learned. So we're about to see a whole influx, and I would hate to see a high percentage of that be spent on.
Yeah, we don't have any excuses. With as much information that is readily available at our fingertips.
Over the next 30 years, it's going to be crazy.
Or the opportunities that we have in front of us. Yeah.
So how do you get in front of that? Like, how do you, like, I know you're a part of those organizations, but like, how do you get in front of enough people to make that story make sense?
Yeah, it's really, being on podcasts like this and really trying to tell our story, really being true. As financial professionals, we really need to be true advocates. Specifically, me as a Black and minority, I need to make it my purpose to do that. But to your question, with Black and Latino communities, 32% of the population, 64% of the country are unbanked, and 47% of those are underbanked households. So just think about those numbers, and like you said, the transition of wealth. How much money is just going to be just squandered? I hate to say it, but it is going to be really important for us if we want to bridge this wealth gap. We have to get ahead of that. We have to educate. I truly feel that financial literacy need to be taught in schools, like elementary school to junior high. Like, I don't know if they even still have what did we talk about
Exchange
before?
City?
Exchange City, but those are programs that should be mandatory, because specific in urban core, because we know what the opportunities that exist and the challenges that are already ahead of us. So I think getting into the schools are very important. How do we continue to build trust in the community? So as a banking professional, it's my responsibility and our responsibility for those out there listening to build that trust back with our community, because they may be underbanked, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities that we are missing if we don't tap into those markets. So just getting into those, be of the community, not just in the community, right? Yeah. Educating them, exposing them to the job opportunities. So one of my missions is to get people more engaged in the financial service industry, because I think the more we work in it, the more we learn it, because we're going to be around it, we're going to hear it, anybody in the banking industry or my family, they always think I know everything about banking.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, that forces us to be engaged in that. So now we're learning about it and living in it. So hopefully we make better decisions. So it's just things like that is going to be really important. But also, I think from a legislative standpoint, there's going to have to be some changes that takes place to kind of help, again, infiltrate these challenges, infiltrate these programs. And I think there's some movement in it. I truly feel there's some authentic movement, but there's a lot that needs to take place.
Yeah, man. There's go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
Man, I was just thinking about just some of the things like real world, everyday shit that people run into. And I think about like there's always ads that come through when it comes to like student loan forgiveness. But really, if you think about it, you think about where all these payday loan places. So payday loans got canceled in a lot of states, but they're still solid here.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, there's payday loan for businesses too.
Yeah, but I mean, they crush people, right? Like you get in one of those, and you get in there because you don't have money, and then they're taking 600% or whatever craziness it is.
Unless you have a high financial literacy,
You wouldn't know
then
that.
you can take it. Then you can leverage those things. So I mean, you know this, but I built Brands That Speak off of what was the name of that? Cabbage.
Yeah.
So Cabbage was like payday loans for business owners, where like they gave me like 10 grand like on the spot, and at the beginning stage of my business, like that kept payroll going. But you know, if you paid off early, or you know, you had to really do the math on what that loan cost you,
Dude,
it worked out. Right now, you know, we got acquired, and now we do way more than that.
it
But
was better for business, right? Because the interest rates aren't as high, and obviously building, so there's that. But on the personal side, first of all, bro, you're putting up collateral. You got one car that barely works. You putting that shit up for collateral, and that's going to get taken. Your neck, and you're like paying from a check you don't have yet. And so I guess my thing is like that. Those are people that need help. Like if you're talking about legislation, I'm like, man, that seems like a very solid group of people that could really be immediately helped out by some sort of forgiveness as to why you're in that situation. I'm like, if you don't make enough money to pay for your bills, like that's what you have to do. And then you cannot deal with the traditional bank because then your credit suffers. And so I guess, is there anything that a bank, like a well-established bank, could do to help a person get out of that?
No, that's a good question, and I'm gonna take a step further as far as what we can do, and it's us having conversations at our dinner table with our kids, right? Because banks can do whatever, regulation can do whatever, but it's our responsibility as parents, hopefully, do what we need to do, but have those conversations with our kids early. Because I know I grew up in a house, you don't really ask about, you know, the money. You don't,
Right.
you know, don't worry about that pink slip on the dinner table. Don't worry about that. But we didn't talk about it. I knew I did grow up in a household where saving was essential. Pay yourself first. We did talk about that. But we want to continue to have those conversations and take it a step further about, because these kids are exposed to cryptocurrency now and Bitcoin. And so allow them to, you know, embrace that, you know, and let's talk about the benefits of budgeting and saving. And so I would say that will be the first step, is really us taking a step to take responsibility, educating our kids. But to your point, there are also a education piece that is very crucial in the financial service industry, credit unions, banks, everyone, because there are some opportunities and some programs out there that actually help. So it's our responsibility to tell people about these programs, right? I don't know why it's such a big secret. But in every community, there are, you know, like I said, micro lending firms. There are, you know, banks can, you know, for an example, gentleman wanted to buy a barbershop. We helped him acquire a barbershop, and he's been cutting hair out of this place for about 12 years, right? He's probably paid for that building 3 or 4 times over what he paid for it. But now that we had a conversation 2 or 3 years ago, he did what he needed to do, and now he's a business owner. Now he can transition that wealth to him, and then the next barber up, he's ready to sell in 20 years. Now he's able to keep that person or keep that business in line. So those are things that just educating about what the expectations of acquiring a loan or what programs are available out there. We have small business development centers in every community that will help you with your business plan for free, or offer you free financial QuickBooks programs for free or low cost, and that will help you obtain that business loan or help putting you in a position to get you what you need. So there's a lot of resources out there. Again, I think we just need to continue to talk about it and expose those opportunities.
Well, I think that's a key thing you bring up is, sometimes we have these ideas and they're kind of more impulsive, right? Like, or, I want to do that. Like, I think I want to open up a barbershop, or I think I want to start a T-shirt business, or I want to do these different things. And
He's in our head, Herman.
Right? Man, how many ideas on the board? But everybody loves a 40-year-old.
Hey, man, coming soon. Coming soon. So it's like, but people don't take the time to really map out a plan and get discipline on what it takes, not only to get the loan, but maybe get a loan that has a rate that you can actually function with. Because you can get a loan at an early stage, but they
have SBA programs.
It's going to cost you.
It's going to cost you. There's SBA programs out there, to your point, but that planning piece is very important, because you'd be surprised from a business standpoint. People come in and say, hey, I need money. All right, how much? Well, you know what? I don't know yet. I'm like, no. One, time is money with us, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm asking you for X, Y, and Z, and you bring me A, B, C.
That sounds.
I can't help you. And I give it back to you and say, hell, I need X, Y, Z, and you come back and give me a half completed package.
But don't worry about the rest.
It's coming. And why you need to know about this blacked out line, right? You want me to loan you how much? So those are things that, again, we have to explain, and the impulse that is so key, because people think they start a business and they're ready to get a loan. Like, no. There's a process. There's a game we have to play, and so once you understand the game, just like you talked about, you're in there. You know what it is. It's just a matter of playing the game, being a little patient, setting up your business plan. We don't want the full business plan. We just want to know your business, and so that's a whole nother conversation we could talk about.
Yeah.
But those are very important pieces to obtaining lending.
I feel you. I'm the same way. If I loan you money, I want to know your business, and I want to know
what,
you can
when,
answer
where,
all
why, and how.
Yeah, I need to know.
And banks are just like you. We want to know. We want to do loans, so we have goals and objectives that to meet. But we can't give it to everybody.
So I had a few myths that I'd like to be bust or confirmed.
Yeah.
So one of them is the business plan. Being in marketing and helping companies and organizations with their brand strategy. The traditional business plan is dead. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with that.
So what type of planning, documentation, or formats do you accept? Like, the traditional business plan, right, where you go through all the different parts of business. You do your marketing, your 4 Ps, you got your projections, all that stuff. A lot of the startups now, they're doing lean canvas model, right, where you just get in front of a lot of customers and you figure out your business model that way, your MVP, right, minimal viable product. This is what I need to get this off the ground. And then these are the kind of the vision forward. There's one-page business plans. What do you expect to give money?
Yeah, so out of a business plan, we're going to want bits and pieces. Please don't bring us a whole James Patterson novel. We don't need that.
Okay.
So we want to know your background, right? What do you know about this business? Who are you? What experience you have in this business, in this entity? Projections are going to be important. We want to see, are they reasonable projections? Like, I'm gonna make $1 million my first year. Really? Are you really?
It's only 1% of the market.
Yeah. It's so we want to see how reachable your projections are, because again, if you're a new startup, we're banking on your projections and your ability to repay, right? In that business plan, we also want to know what do you know about your business? A little bit about your market? We don't need to know all your customers and who your competition is, but how much do you know about your business that you're going into? Your location, why are you choosing this location? These are verbal conversations that your bank is going to ask you just to see if you know about it. But it'll be nice to hand us over some of that information so we kind of have a feel for what it is that you're doing. Maybe some of your partners, like, okay, if you're a construction company and, I got a guy who works electrical and a guy who does this, tell me about your partners and your key relationships and how they will help benefit your business.
You got to vet them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if we recognize one of those contractors on there who owe us money,
right?
We're gonna be like, I don't know how credible are you, right?
James?
Sure.
Nah, we can't do business with James.
Not again. Not after the last one. Not after.
But it's funny because listening to that, I'm like, well, really what you're intaking is, this quick analysis on the risk factor.
Absolutely.
Except for if you come in there with, hey man, I got $100,000 and I'm just looking for 30 more, a lot of those factors go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Yeah. And what is that? What else what are you going to do with that 30 grand? What do you need it for? Are you a startup? Are you existing business? Do you have cash flow and ability to repay? Those are some conversations.
And I feel like that's the part that kind of is missing because most of that isn't public knowledge, right? Like you don't know what those thresholds are, but if you do on the front side or with a banker that you can trust, they will, bro, you need to look just like this. If you have capital, you need to show this much, which all your other stuff doesn't have to be perfect, which I assume is also how people got PPE loans and couldn't afford them. Because I'm like, if you have enough, you just have to look a certain way to get those loans. Not that that's right, but the weight of that risk is diminished by the amount of cash you actually have.
Yeah. And your ability to repay. Are you, do you have, after your revenue and then all your expenses, now we include NERD loan payment on an annual basis, do you have enough left over to cover our payment? And so there's a debt service coverage ratio that we look at. Most banks look at it like a 1.20. So basically you have at least $1.20 for every dollar that you make to cover some of this debt. So those are certain things that we'll look at. Like you said, it's uncommon knowledge. But when we do have conversations with businesses, and also we're going to look at if you were 3 years in business and you had some inconsistencies in certain areas, or hey, 1 year you did this, and this other year in this area there's a major difference, a major variance. Like what happened? Like we want you to know what
tell
happened.
That story.
Yeah, tell us why.
All right, so I got two questions. I kind of want to piggyback. I'm gonna go back to Herman's.
Yeah.
You want me to get passionate?
No, I'm gonna go back to your story about being escorted by the nape of your back,
bro.
So
he was like, "You just scoot your black ass out of here."
Did he have the hands
bro? I was like, "Man, get your goddamn hands off me,
broke ass Negro."
I was like, anyway.
So you explained like the story you just took us through, right? You were asking questions, you're digging deep, you're getting the context around the content.
Yes, sir.
Which is what I would expect from a relationship with a banker. Herman did not get that. So how, like, I'm not saying that you're blowing smoke, but like how do we know, where to go to get that type of customer service versus the shit that Herman got dished out?
Yeah,
and sometimes, so in my experience, it could have been the makeup of the bank, right? So the branch that I typically went to, where the guy had our our investments and whatever, but they're like, oh, well, the business loan guy is at the other branch. So I went to the other branch where I don't really know anybody. So I'm like, there's that factor too.
But that's his job.
Right? You would think.
And it's like Bank of America here. They got one lady over in Kansas. She's at this other branch, and she's hard to get to, but that's what she does. And I mean, is
she a small business, or she's just a branch manager, or what?
Yeah, small business. Okay. I think she's in commercial lending or whatever. But even with them, like, we have tons of money in that account. It's been up for like 10 years, and I still get horrible customer service. But we're not gonna go down.
All banks are not created equal,
right?
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. So how do you know? So like, keep going.
Yeah. So kind of back to the question, like, I guess just how do, from a consumer, whether it's business or personal, like how do we, what should we be looking for to identify a good relationship?
Yeah, that's a good question. And one of the things that I stress to my clients or just people who ask questions is banks want your business just as you want that loan, right? So you are vetting them. So if you don't get a good feel for them, I wouldn't deal with it. On to the next one? Yeah, on to the next one. I mean, just like you got bad teachers, you got bad police officers, you got, whatever. You got bad bankers. I hate to say it, but they are out there as well.
HR professionals, too.
There's terrible HR professionals.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's up, man?
I know a few.
That's that even keel HR. But, but I truly feel that that's that has been an issue. I know there's some really great bankers out there, and I know some solid ones, and I know I've run across some bad ones too.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's very important again to find a really good relationship to someone. Ask around. You know, if you have a family member who had a decent relationship, go to them and you know, talk to them. So just as we want your business, you should be equally vetting them as well, because that's important. You got money in the bank, right? I mean, that's important.
You can take your money anywhere.
There's a bank on every corner. That's one thing I used to teach my staff is there's a bank on every corner. Why do we want people to come to us? We want, even if there's other banks that we, you know, obviously other banks that we work for in other surrounding areas, we want them to come to our bank. You know, we want them to do business with us. So what are we going to do to separate ourselves?
Can you really be that honest though? So one of the questions I have on here for you is specifically around that. Like if banking is kind of like, if being a banker is kind of like being a car dealership employee, where you're just going to go to all the different dealerships and you're just selling a different brand of vehicle. Mm-hmm. So in your experience, you've been at a lot of different banks. So like, is there a lot of nuance within each different bank, or are they all roughly kind of the same entity, or do you get more, I guess, autonomy with certain banks?
You know what? I've been fortunate enough for the banks that I've worked for. Customer service is very important. Like that's kind of like they drive that in us. Like customer service is everything. So if you had a terrible experience at one of those banks, I'd be surprised. Which again, I know they're out there, but one of the things that they focus on is really customer service and drive that. So to your point, I think every branch still kind of, I mean, you're still dealing with individuals and they all got personal issues and whatever. So you're going to be dealing with that. But I truly believe, like from a local standpoint, local banks, community banks really value that relationship. Like national chains, larger banks, I don't know if that's, I never worked for a national bank, but what I've heard and what I've experienced is, you know, it's not the same. They are, you know, I mean, they're looking at numbers.
They already have everything. They're like, whatever.
Yeah, take your money. I mean, Bank of America, I have no issues with them, but they shut down their drive-thrus. When I was at the plaza, I was soaking up all the business because, I mean, we had a drive-thru there, and people just, they shut down the drive-thru. Convenience, right? Like, how do you shut down convenience for customers and try to drive them all online?
It's a big thing for me, is convenience.
Man, so we was getting business, just money coming through the door, and so we were able to capitalize on that. So again, some banks don't really care about customer service. I think the local banks and credit unions, they really value customer service and relationship because we are smaller and, you know, we don't have that capacity. And so keeping you in the bank is very important.
So then I guess when it comes to transparency or honesty with people that walk through that door, can you be as transparent and honest with them as you need to be? Because like your goal would be to have them pick up some financial asset, whether it's a new account, yada, yada, yada. But if you know that this person might have struggles, can you tell them that a better option might be something else? Like whether that is a credit union, if they're like, you know, the fees are going to kill me. Can you do that? Or
I mean, honestly, I've suggested other banks to other people because, I mean, I'm just from my own personal situation, I couldn't do a loan for a client, right? I knew a bank that was comfortable in this space as far as business. So I referred them to someone I knew who can take care of them, and they were able to get them taken care of with that loan. So again, I truly feel it's enough. Me personally, this is me. I think there's enough money out there to get from everybody. We can't help everybody, but again, every bank has kind of their niche. It's like CRA. You all probably heard of Community Reinvestment Act. Yeah. We all have different organizations we may donate to or spend time to. And so not all the banks have the same appetite to serve in certain areas. So if you say, hey, I have a housing project, it's a great CRA project, we may not be interested, but another bank down the street focus on housing. So they might donate to your organization or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So just understand it. But again, people may not know that. So that's very important for us as leaders to explain that because those are certain areas that people just don't talk about.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure out why he got thrown out that bank.
I know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, he's just like,
hey, man.
They weren't transparent enough.
I mean, honestly,
he was wearing bucket
but honestly,
jeans.
hey, look, anybody that knows me knows that shit
out,
fueled my fire to make more money than I, you know, like it just
we
fueled me to
already
make more. Yeah. So I'm like, man.
I own a boat, bro.
I'm like, bro, y'all are.
You got a boat?
Never going to touch this money.
Yeah. No, and you have that right to do that.
Yeah.
And you should feel empowered to do that.
Yeah.
All right, myth number 2. There's a lot of TikToks out there showing us how to, hack life, hack business, hack government regulations, blah, blah, blah.
Fast money.
One of them that my wife keeps sending to me is pay your kids out of your business, pay them like $25,000 a year, which I'm like, I don't pay my employees that much.
They'd be number 3 in the company.
I'm gonna need some production out of it. You can
Crying it.
Yeah.
Pay your kids out of your company, and then so that you can then put it into a 401k or a Roth IRA or whatever. Like, are these hacks real?
You know what? I can't even speak on that. I don't know enough about it. You may want to talk to a tax person who's a little bit more, comfortable in that space. Me, I am not. I have heard about that, but yeah, I personally don't.
So you haven't cashed no checks for no 3-year-olds?
No, man, trust me, I'm gonna try to get that 3-year-old alone.
Theo, I need my money.
Here come James again, 3 years old with his PPE paperwork.
Herman, how old were you when you got walked out of the bank?
Bro, I didn't want to talk about that. I was grown.
He was 8.
It's only fair because he has the light bill in his name, so might as well.
My man's already had a couple credit cards.
So myth number 3.
Yes.
Open credit cards in your kid's name to build their credit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Is that a real thing?
I thought she was going the other way because I know people who opened up credit cards in their kids' name because their credit was terrible. Then they screwed up their kids' credit by the time they.
Yeah. They 7 years old talking about why'd I get this is my name on this mail.
They're getting phone calls.
No, yeah, but no, like my son's in college, so we were able to open up like a secure credit card. I was going to add him on as like an authorized user on my card, but unfortunately my credit card don't give the authorized user credit for that. So that's one thing I would encourage you to check. Some credit cards do that. Some credit cards don't do that. So just make a phone call and ask. But that is a thing. You can put your kids on as an authorized user or get them a secure credit card or, as a joint card holder on your account. And I would take the credit card from them, or you can let them use it to buy Starbucks and put gas on it. Limit it.
That better be your best acting credit card with the perfect amount of open space, the perfect amount of payment history. That shit has to be pristine.
I mean, we've talked about that because especially in college, like as soon as you get to campus, man, they
bro,
hit
you
with
inundated.
Bro.
Yes.
See, this is what people don't understand about Elizabeth Warren, and I don't want to get political, but one of the things that but the thing that she did that helped the most was when she heading the oh my god, whatever agency it was, CFPB.
Oh yeah, CFPB. Yeah.
So whenever we were in college and they gave us those credit
CFPB.
cards, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, the CFPB.
They used to hide that.
Why didn't
interest.
you say so?
Yeah. Why didn't you lead with that?
Bro, they used to all that small print, right? Yeah. She's the person that made them say, guess what? When you open up that card for $500, there's immediately $75 coming off of there for the opening fee so that you don't overdraft when you go out to whatever store and spend all that money. Yeah. And the interest rate has to be front and center. So 23%, you got to pay $75 up front. Yeah. Bro, we didn't know that. Like, I had overdrawn a bunch of credit cards in college, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like they was, yeah.
Apple was like, take this Barclays card and you can buy yourself a new MacBook.
I
was like, cool, let's do it.
I don't know that I overdrawn, but I know I maxed it out.
Of course,
I heard that.
Hold
up. Oh no. Hold on. Let me blow it.
If you had Bank of America, they just let you swipe.
Bro.
We know your limit was way back there, but it's all good. Keep swiping, brother.
Send you that asshole email the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Here's your statement.
Yeah.
But no, that is a thing. I would encourage folks, and that's one of those specifically in our community. We should encourage that. So when they come out of college or whatever, they're 21, 22, 23, they got a 700 credit score, 800 credit score, and they're moving in the right direction.
I do like the secure credit card because that just helps keep them in check.
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, and now, companies are doing background checks and they're checking credit scores before hiring people. So, I mean,
you can't get a cell phone with a bad credit, or you might go to Cricket or something.
You just got to pay $500
get that Cricket
to get it.
Cricket always be there for you. Hey. Arms wide open.
They like, it's might work every time.
Yeah, Cricket be like, come. It's like the doors of the church.
Text message might not go through, but
I can't remember who I asked once. It was, I don't know what girl it was, but she. My question was like, what is the number one thing that you was like, it was a no-go? And she was like, anybody using a Cricket phone. I was like, dang.
It's a deal breaker.
Yeah, that was a deal breaker. I was like, okay.
It is
She
indicative.
checking the cell phone plan.
I was like, but I guess that says a lot.
It is. It's indicative. That's for sure.
All right, one more myth for you.
Yes, sir.
Student loans die with you.
They do.
So I don't have to worry about paying those back.
About to-
I mean, I make payments, but they just hang over
Bro,
my
$25 a month, bro.
head.
Forever.
Man, I know.
I wish.
But yeah, no.
Kill himself and come back as Tim McCoy the fourth.
My son is now my daddy.
You got a new credit card at 8
Yeah.
months ago. But no, that is most of your debt do die with you. But also if you're married though, like your house and whatever, all that kind of follows with the other person. But I've had situations where individuals still trying to pay off their dead uncle's credit card. I'm like, you really don't have to. You didn't hear me say this, but no, I mean normally your
Really?
debt
Okay.
dies with you,
Bro.
Good to know.
I hope I don't lose anybody close to me, but not a bill is getting paid when I take over the checkbook.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that is not going to happen. You can call all you want to.
So here's a story. So I went bad on stuff years back. Oh God,
The dark
When
days.
2008, 2009, bro. So there's fast forward. What I did with all my credit cards is I just started paying one off every year, and then as the years went on, I still have one left. And so, me, like I do the research on like how much they bought that bad debt for. I know that the bank already charged that shit off because it's years back. Bro, so like,
you did.
of course I did, right? I'm like, look, here's what I'm willing to pay, which is like $620 on like a 3,000, I don't know, maybe. Anyway,
Yeah.
they want $3,100. I'm like, I'll pay you $650, and they will not accept it. But I'm like, here's the weird thing, and I would never set up payments ever again. If I pay because it's not reflected on my credit because it's been so long, it would then be back reflected on my credit. So like the way that the shit's set up, I almost can't pay. But I still like their
Ain't no
calls.
almost about it. You ain't paying. I would advise you not to pay.
Hey, look.
Well, and the shitty part about
bygones
it
be bygones.
is once you pay off that credit card and the account closes, your credit score goes down because now you have less credit cards, like less
But it's not even.
available balance. Yeah,
But it's not even reflect. That's what I'm saying. Like it's been so long, it's not even reflected on my credit. So it would ping me as a bad thing if I pay.
nobody. The credit
Yeah, the
bureaus
credit
don't
bureaus
even
are
know
like,
about
man,
it
that
no
shit
more.
was like
So
a
it'd be-
Yeah,
decade
so stuff
ago.
falls off right
Yeah.
after like
7 years.
7
Yeah.
years.
And honestly,
Oh, that's a strategy.
I mean, kind of. Hey, look, when I was going
the
back, as
threshold
time
on that?
goes on, they do stop
Play
charging
the
interest.
long game.
They stop charging interest.
Oh yeah, because it's non-accrual is what we call it.
Yeah.
So it's not it's kind of like the statute of limitations. We can't.
Right, unaccrued interest.
Yeah. But so from a personal standpoint, and boy, that was a rough time. I mean, then you
It
have
was
all these
grimy
things.
on purpose.
Hey, man, the thing I learned was not to ever set up monthly payments and just pay shit in full with a reduced amount that you can both agree upon, and then keep it moving. And then before I knew it, I'm like, all my credit was back great, had
Yeah.
more money, and then life went on. It seemed like it was forever in that moment in time, but I'm like, really, it was just like maybe 4 or 6 years, but I had everything I needed, so I really didn't need credit. So
Yeah, so the payment thing, on the flip side of that, with taxes. So my wife and I, like when we have like a big tax bill at the end of the year, we just set up a payment plan. Like they're asking for 10, we give them $100 a month,
Oh wow. Okay.
and we pay those taxes off, no interest charged for 10 years. I'm still paying on 2007 taxes, or I mean, I'm exaggerating, but
Allegedly.
but like 3 years ago, like we're still paying that, and so we keep more cash in our pocket. And don't give it to them to play with. We play with it.
I feel like banking is the one industry where both parties can win as long as you know all of the loopholes.
Which nobody does.
Nobody does, but I'm
Except
like,
for
the more
Theodis.
you have these,
Oh,
the more
man,
you
I'm
have these
still learning.
conversations, like you
Yeah.
do learn, like how the consumer can actually come out ahead, how the bank can get what they want, which is the being able to charge fees on certain shit that you don't even know about.
So
We ain't gonna
speaking
talk about that though.
We disclose all our fees.
You gotta look real small, real fine print.
So what would you say is like the number one tip that you just find yourself giving the majority of your customers?
I would say really one of the things, and even I do this personally here recently, last couple of years, is spend time on your money, right? We spend time researching cars. We spend time,
Yep.
I watch a lot of football, right? Just if you're married, me and my wife do a happy hour. We do a happy hour doing
Talk
bills.
about her finances.
Hey, yeah, right.
Talk about these Amazon charter
Yeah,
money.
what was this?
No, right. Hey, we going through. This is 2050.
Target, Amazon, Walmart. Target,
Hey,
Target,
bro.
Amazon.
Target.
Got a pie chart. With
Man, I need to invest in Target. I mean, that's what I really
Yeah.
do.
I literally, that's why I have Target and
Bro.
Amazon stock. It's because my wife
Yeah, man.
keeps them afloat.
Those are our conversations. I'm like, look, that's the only way you're going to add a true discount.
You could have bought
Is
this
on those
throw pillow,
dividends.
or you could have bought this share.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, for real.
Let the
That's
dividend
fair.
pay for that pillow.
But that's one thing I would do is spend time on your money. We don't. There's a book called Millionaire Next Door. I'm pretty sure you all heard it or read
So
it.
I've quoted it several times on this podcast.
It's a great book.
He's
but
on like chapter 13. He's still got work to do.
Am I practicing? Maybe I'm on chapter 2.
you can be a slow learner. He's practicing to it.
It's
He's only going to apply a
It's
certain
a
amount.
rotisserie chicken, man. It's slow cooking.
Hey, long as you're moving that direction, that's all that matters. But they talk about those higher earners who make a lot of money, who is way below their net worth, what they should be, and
Yep.
those high net worthers who live way below their means, and so you can see the difference. And one of the things they talk about is spending time on your money and being okay with paying for services, like if you need a financial accountant or accounting.
Right.
That's one thing. Like from a business standpoint, I hear that all the time. It's like, I don't need an accountant. I can do my bills myself. Or I'm like, no, you cannot afford not to have an accountant. You really do need a professional who can help you with that, because obviously they can kind of help you navigate the tax system, right? And also, number two, if you're looking for a loan or whatever, it looks good having a tax accountant on the bottom of your tax returns. It just kind of legitimizes your business.
Okay.
So I would say, ultimately, spend time on your money, track your expenses, because you'd be surprised how much money you blow through. And you don't have to make a lot of money. You can make,
$35,000 a year.
And
Be
you
broke or
spend
be a millionaire.
$30,000. And you can, man, I mean, that woman showed me a lot. But so just really understanding where you spend your money, understand where your money goes. I mean, it's so important. And you just be surprised, take 1 month out and write down all your expenses. That'll tell you right there where your money is going. So
Yeah. So recently, this is the biggest struggle with my household financially, is just managing what goes out, right? Like in our brains, and I will say my wife and I, is like, all right, we have this lifestyle that we want to keep. We know the things that we have to do in order to be happy. So we're going to spend the money to do it. Unfortunately, that is more than the money that comes in. And so we're leveraging credit cards, minimum balance payments, so we don't have to pay any interest. And like, we got the system figured out, but in the back of my head, there's like this little Tim the Fourth. He's just worried that the chickens are gonna come home to roost, or whatever saying goes in there, and I'm gonna be stuck like Chuck. So thank you, Mr. Pay Yourself First. I've been doing a way better job on just throwing money in a savings account or whatever. I just opened up a new joint investment account with my financial advisor yesterday. Good. So we can have our emergency fund put away in some bank I don't even have access to, right?
Cayman.
But my question is, what tips do you have on navigating, managing your finances as a couple when you're on two different
uncoupled
planes?
I mean, you got a point.
The couple is uncoupled.
It's kind of like religion. You kind of have to be equally yoked. I mean, I know it's tough, it's a challenge, but you all have to be on that same page or try to get there, because you can't have one that is saver and is a tightwad. They call me tightwad Watson in my house. So you can't have a tightwad, but then you got the other one who is just out here just making it rain. You're never not gonna get there. So I have people all the time like, how in the hell do you all get there? It's like, unfortunately, you all have to sit down and have this conversation, uncomfortable or not. She's gonna tell you some things, you're gonna tell her some things, and you all gonna have to come to a happy medium place.
Dude,
It's so hard.
do those conversations ever happen with you.
I mean, we thank goodness.
Yeah, let's get in the middle of this.
No, but for real, thank goodness my wife. She's pretty cheap though. But her thing is if it's on sale, it's a good deal. I'm like, okay,
Bro, that's just
it's not always.
it's
Don't get me
for
started.
sale.
It's for
Don't
sale.
get me started.
But she's pretty good about it. So she's always been
That's
had good
funny.
credit. She's owned her home before we got married, so she already was kind of in that responsible mode. But again, we still to this day still kind of have to be consistent with those conversations. Hey, we got an annual goal. Hey, one of our goals is we want to save $20,000 a year at the end of this year. Put it up, right?
Yep.
And those are some things that, hey, every month we know we got to move this money. But if we got to make a decision to spend, we got to talk about it. Like, I mean, if I want to buy a new car, I mean, my car was an 04 Honda. I was rolling an 04 Honda for a long time.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, man, that thing's still rolling. I'm about to pass it down to a cousin. That thing
Right?
rolls so
Yeah.
good. But again, you kind of have to be on the same page for sure and have those difficult conversations, because if not, it's going to be tough. It's challenging.
I have them all the time, but I just feel like I'm having them with
Introduce
myself.
wine in the conversation. So have a happy hour.
Right.
Let's pick out an
Little
Amazon.
half an edible.
Hey, for real. Hey, whatever works, do it. Hey, just and give and take. Hey, okay, you can do this. You can go Target on Wednesday.
Bro, I broke it down. I was like, you can have one purchase of $40 or less every week with Amazon.
There we
Oh
go.
man.
Man,
That
if
ain't
there
gonna get
weren't-
you nowhere. They're $40.
Nah, bro. I know that when
You
the
gonna have to give it to.
grapevine.
You gonna have to go up $60.
I know he got cussed out.
Yeah,
She's still cussing you
Like I
out.
said, she didn't even
it was
respond.
blatant disregard. Blatant disregard. Just
Your shit is outside.
Yeah. So no. But I would you all have to find set annual goals. We do vision boards in the beginning of the year. Say, hey, these are some things that we want to do.
Yeah, we trying that.
Do and stick with it.
I had her. All right, so we did. It was like map out all of our trips for the year,
There you go.
and then I started calculating. Like, do you see what stresses me out? Like
yeah.
this St. Martin.
Go to Chilligan's
Yeah.
Island,
Bruh.
but no. So those, I mean, especially married couples, man. I'm telling you, it's so important for you all to get on the same page. Or man, it's gonna be rough because you'll never accumulate where you can go.
Yeah.
And one of the things, real quick, I was a proponent of. You got your money, I got my money. We split the bills. We're good, and
that's my plan.
see, there you go. That's it. But once we put our money together, though,
Preach.
It was a lot less stressful.
Let's
it was
go.
Good. Hey, we get our little, every month, every paycheck, we get our
Little
little percentage.
stipend.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, and then what I had to do is if I wanted more money, I had to find more money, right? So I had to find another hustle or do some other things on the side. And that's my money. That ain't the house money.
Okay.
She get the bulk of my,
So do you have a joint account and then separate accounts?
So we got a joint account. We got our joint checking account. We have a joint savings account. And then now that we started trying to do this other savings, we have our own it's kind of our 5-year plan savings where we're trying to, save $20,000 a year. We're going to do that. But then now we all each have our own checking account. So that's where my little stipend, my little pennies go
Right.
into.
Okay.
And so I live off of that. So if she want to go to Amazon and spend
She
$40,
got to come out of her other account.
They start thinking a lot different when
All
they're
right,
looking
I
at their
like.
money.
All right, cool. So I've been laughing at these two because they all have separate accounts in their relationships, and I know it.
It works
Different
for
strokes.
everybody.
Yeah.
But you also are very stressed, just like me. So your way's not working, my way's not working. But I like this idea of all right. You want to play?
Yeah.
This is your play money.
Oh, maybe we
Here's the
have
family's money.
Yeah.
An
And then
equal
here's-
playing field. Is it an equal playing field?
It is, yeah. I mean, we get our own. We get each
You
person.
fill in your own account.
I want $500 to make it rain just once a.
Hey,
you gotta-
I
but
could
you
do
You
gotta
just got to
make it.
save it for whatever amount of money, the amount of time to get it. And one of the things when we started paying off debt, when we started combining our money and putting chunks on
Yep.
debt, we were able to knock things off quicker. Like
Right.
she had a car, we paid that off. in
Good
about a
snowball
couple years.
method.
Yeah.
Paid off my little car, and then we just started building from there. So
Yep.
that is one thing I would. But you all got to be on the same page, and it's tough because it took me forever. And I was like, this is my money. No, but I was like, man,
Yeah.
we tried it my way for a year. Then we tried it her year, and then that third year we was a little rocky. And that fourth year we was like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and do it.
That's what's up.
And honestly, it worked out.
Yeah, that's
I'll talk to wifey about that tonight.
Sounds like y'all got a team
I
though.
can't wait to see you get his
Can't wait to
straight up handprint on his face tomorrow.
It sounds like y'all run similar offenses. My man's over here. It's two different offenses being ran in the same house.
I'm blocking and tackling. And she's going deep every time.
That's funny, dude. We're about to run out of time.
Oh shoot, are we?
We got
I have race questions.
All right, make it
We are
spicy.
black in the middle. Let's
We
do
are
it.
black.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I figured, all
absolutely.
right,
Let's
let's
focus
go.
on this blackness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start with number one.
Yeah.
The largest loan you have seen approved personally.
Oh man. Me, I done it myself, or I've seen it get done.
Either.
Oh, about $30 million deal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that to a person or an entity that was a minority?
Oh no, man.
Okay.
He's like, no.
Why you asking
not?
questions you know the answer
How
to?
did there happen? I'm just kidding.
No.
Dang. Well, I guess, do you have
Like, what's the biggest loan you've ever seen a black person get?
kind of?
500,000.
No, I see some decent deals. Me personally, I did about $3 million.
Okay.
Me personally on a black person, and was responsible for that. Did another, $1 million or so for another black person. Asian guy did about $3 million. So there's some opportunities there. But to your point, that though is how do we help get more people of color inside the getting loans and getting access. One of my, again, missions in the financial service industry is find more people of color to get into the commercial lending, right? Because I think access to capital, if you don't have anyone who looks like that community or who is comfortable with that community, I mean, you're not going to find a white lender out of over in the park go into 31st and Truce and do a loan on there. I mean, they're out there.
I'm
Don't
sure,
get me wrong, but if we have more of us going in who's connected, came from who's of the community, we more be enticed to do more, and there might be some more opportunities there. So that's one of my missions, to get more of us in that space so we can do that.
And so that's like kind of where the conversation starts. If somebody like yourself that has been in a lot of different communities, I feel like, and obviously I'm not there, but I'm like, could you see the inequities in, I guess, lending practices, right? Because I'm like, oftentimes you're not the lender, like you're just the pass through, right? So I'm like, but I mean, obviously you could see what happens east of Truce versus west. And I guess, is there anything that you can do? Like, does it matter? What does a person do? You have a good idea, you live east of Truce, like, do you then not go to your bank that's east of Truce? Or like,
No, go to your bank. I say start with your bank, have the conversation. You got to make sure you're prepared. So again, take advantage of some of these technical assistant organizations, and I'll just spit some out, like Prospect Business Association is a great technical assistance organization that helps small businesses get loan ready. Got Small Business Development Center on 4747 Truce that have plenty of resources. They have them in Johnson County as well at the college. Score connect you with the mentor to help you get your. So from a business perspective, you want to make sure you're ready when you come into the bank. So utilize, if you're not ready, if you're unsure, go to your bank, ask for resources. They should. They don't, go to SBDC, and it's free. Go call the SBA office. Call Mike McQuarter. That's my guy. He's the SBA relationship manager. He will tell you where to go to find someone who can help you get your loan packet ready, and then you go to the bank and do the deal. One of the things I think, again, is education. If we don't know what we don't know, right? So from a black community, if we don't have anyone who's able to, say, hey, you need to get 2 or 3 years of personal tax returns, business returns, you need your personal financial statement, you need a good, decent credit score, business hopefully can show that the cash flow. Those are some good introductory opportunities to get you a loan. And after that, we'll talk about the specifics. But if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know. So it's really important for us bankers to educate, but also expose some of the resources that are available out there so people can go there first and then come to us. So once you go there, you're ready. We'll love to do the loan if it makes sense. It's just a matter of getting you prepared.
That preparation, I'm sure, is key. Walking in there prepared first time, because you might not get what you want the first time, but you do have an ability to make an impression.
Absolutely.
If you come in there fumbling and not prepared and in disarray, can't answer questions,
amateur hour.
then you waste their time, which makes you annoying and makes them not eager to deal with you.
He said it, not me. But that is, but it's so important because again, you got to look at.
Why you looking at Herman?
If you see,
I stay
You
in
think
the
this is how he showed up?
Thinking why else
He
got
showed
that-
up at his
it's
like
appointment.
if another
That's why he
brother
got
walks
that.
in here,
That's why he got that Ursher.
let me push him like this so he never brings his black ass back.
But I mean that is so true. That is so true. And you got to think about from a lender standpoint, we got 15 deals on our desk that we're trying to get through, and customers calling us, where we at? Are we approved? Or they gave us half a packet, so we're frustrated with them too. And you walking with us, as you mentioned, not prepared. That just kind of move you right down to the lower level, and we give you that walkout. And now,
So I got a question about the disaster recovery loans, but before I go there, Herman, I assume it wasn't a black guy that ushered you out, right?
Of course not.
Okay.
They didn't have one. They didn't have one to pull from.
a black guy was saying, "Get your black ass up."
Exactly. Bro, if you don't come back with the right documentation.
So we took we got PPP money during the beginning of the pandemic, and we got that was forgiven or whatever. So that's great, right? So then we got the EIDL loan, EIDL loan,
Emergency Injury Disaster Loan.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was done by the
I thought it was Nelly. He was going EIE.
I can't pay it back.
Yeah.
So we got one of those to keep the business fueled, right? So I didn't have to lay anybody off, didn't have to do any pay cuts, et cetera, et cetera. The deals sound. We got two tranches or whatever distributions from this loan. The first one was a smaller amount, and the second was
increase.
Yeah. So we don't have to start making payments for 2 years. However, the interest does accrue, right? It's a 30-year payment,
30
whatever.
fixed term. Yep.
Yeah, fixed term. It's a really great deal.
Mm-hmm.
What should I be fearing at this moment with this loan sitting on my books? Like, should I be scared about anything other than maybe making payments now instead of waiting for 2 years?
I mean, do whatever you feel comfortable with, because that interest is going to pile up. So even if you make the minimal payment, I don't know how much you got, but even if you want to make the minimal payment, if you can do it, I would do that just to kind of knock down that interest that you're going to be paying at the end of that term.
Okay,
it's what 3.75%. So that's the cheapest money you'll ever get.
Right.
And I know people who use that to finance or to pay off other debt, right?
Right.
So they are not worried about that. They got a cheaper money. People use it to expand, or help, like you said, keep employees paid and all that fun stuff. So I would say use it responsibly, but if you have the capacity to pay down that interest, I would say do it, because you're going to have to pay it back anyway, and that's less the money that you have to pay back.
But if it's public, do you know what the interest rate is on those?
3.75. Fixed for 30 years.
So if, hypothetically...
Money will never be cheaper.
Right, but if you took that...
It's already going up.
If you took that money and invested in a savings vehicle that was obviously returning more than that, then maybe don't pay, right?
I mean, again, you do...
you could pay in bulk, right?
So you in that trap.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of...
Yeah, he like, I go...
I'm just saying, if you don't have to pay for 2 years, but you hold on to your minimum payment without shelling that out, because you're clipping away a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
but
no, absolutely. I mean, how I think that's the first place my mind went to. Let me go ahead and let this money make some more money, obviously. But I guess the flip side is like the best investment that I put my money into is me, right, in my business, because that's where I'm gonna get the biggest return. So I'm not buying stocks or anything with it. We did pay off some credit cards because interest rates are ridiculous. But I've never, like, in 15 years of business, other than that cabbage loan 3 years ago, I've never taken out money. It's always been bootstrapped. So like this loan like hangs over my head, even though I know this is how big business, like, they run in the red.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I'm, as smart as I think I am, I still just, the concept, it it doesn't go with the way I was raised. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's good to have that level of anxiety for real. I mean, because some people get that money, they blowing through it, and they're not thinking methodically of how they can.
Like it's in the bank account, and I'm like, all right, I need to get back up to that loan amount, so I know I got it in case they want it.
Is that amount going to affect? So if you go to the bank and you want to get more money, right? Like, are they going to look at that and be like, uh-oh?
Yeah.
No, it's going to be there. We're going to factor that in as far as your debt service. We're going to look at that payment and what that will be on an annual basis. So that is going to go against, because what we do is you come in to the bank and we're going to look at all your debt that you owe on the business, right? So do you have a truck loan? Do you have a commercial loan? Yeah, we're going to factor that payment in, although we know that you don't have to pay back in 2 years. But eventually, most loans are 5-year loans or, 10-year loans or whatever. So we know eventually you're going to have to pay that money back. So we're going to factor what your minimum payment will be like in conjunction with all your other payments that you have. So we're going to look at that. We're not going to look at it negative because everybody had it. I mean, the world shut down, and so we know that money's there. One of the things we have to do is we will have to sometimes have to subordinate that loan to the SBA. So we have to ask the SBA to, let's say if they had, because they're taking
they
a
get
lien
their
on,
money first.
Yeah, so we're taking a lien on all business assets likely. So we want your, we want your cameras, we want everything if everything goes down. So
Don't let them take the cameras.
Don't let them take the cameras. Some really good cameras. But what the SBA is, they're in first position now.
Right.
So what the bank has to do is ask the SBA to subordinate their loan, which a lot of times they will, so we can move in first position. But at the end of the day, SBA is gonna get their money because they're tied to the IRS and the Treasury. So they'll if you default on that loan, they're gonna come get everything. Don't worry about Theodis. The IRA, the RS,
IRA gonna be at your door.
So that's one of the things. But no, we don't look at that negatively because again, everybody had to use this money. It's just even we underrate loans, we have to kind of think of that differently a little bit now for at least the next 2 or 3 years because people got that PPP money. When that money came in, you got forgiven. You realize it as income, but it's not really real income.
Right.
It's money that was given. So we're going to kind of take that out of what you did make and look at what your bottom line would be without that PPP money. So those are some things. And again, we know that, hey, you got hit because the business shut down, whatever, but we're going to, we understand that. So we're going to, still underwrite it like that. But those are some things that we do from an underwriting standpoint to justify if we want to still do this loan or not.
So real quick, just piggybacking on the PPP loan stuff. So we, trying to think, did we get one? I think we only got one.
It was 2 draws. And in the second draw, you just had to show a reduction of 25% of.
Yeah, so I didn't because we actually had like our best year. Next year.
I know some people couldn't get it. Yeah.
But but are they, because I love the idea of the free money.
Yeah.
Is there more of that coming or can I go? I
don't know.
I can't show an increase in business.
Wait on that COVID Zeta.
Yeah, right. Unless another strain come out and shut us down. Yeah. No, they're anticipating because you hear a lot of talks about inflation and things like that. So they're anticipating things are going to go back up because they're already talking about increasing interest rates for the next 6 times this year. Yeah. So they're anticipating business continue to pick up and thrive. And I think if the next COVID variant come out, they're just going to say, hey, take this booster and get on down around the road. So I can't see any more free money because
glory days are over.
$1 trillion is being spent. And so, there's a lot of money that was given out. So I can't see them putting another program out there. But what I think they're going to do is create more programs, though, for small businesses because the SBA found out how, not easy, but how accessible they can kind of create money to put out there on the streets. And banks now understand, hey, there might be some opportunities to kind of tap into some.
We can throw some money out there, too.
Essentially, banks.
Highly democratic.
Yeah.
Say what? That sounds like a Democrat party.
Yeah.
To create programs to give out money.
But essentially,
or lending programs, not give out money, free money. Yep.
So basically, before the pandemic, banks didn't want to fuck with a lot of high risk people, and now they figured out that it's okay. We can give little
take your high risk
little
ass.
Timmy.
Get your hand off my back.
But now everybody's getting money, and now they're realizing like, we didn't have to be such dicks for the past 500 years. Mm-hmm. We can help all these small businesses thrive. Or like even like contractors and the gig economy are getting PPP loans, right? Like, it's amazing just how like through all the different systems, right? The educational system. Now all of a sudden they can do, virtual learning, businesses. All of a sudden you can work remotely, but they had a not remote policy before. Like everybody's all of a sudden being innovative and using technology and getting rid of all this red tape when they could have been doing that shit before to build this equity in all these different systems.
Yeah.
And it's just, it took a pandemic to do it, which I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it's fear.
An act of God.
It's fear of change, right? Because like all this shit's been out here for forever. We just didn't know what the outcomes would be. And like that has been the conversation politically has been, no, the debt's too much. It's going to do this. Well, like shit, every time the debt raises, like we're fine. Yeah. It never falls flat.
It's the silver lining in the dark cloud, right?
Yeah.
Like the last 2 years have been, unprecedented. But one thing that has happened is a forced evolution.
Yeah.
In every sector and every way we look and view things. And that's going to be a beautiful thing to propel us going forward. And if we can have some financial forced evolution, man, I think that's going to be really, really good. As long as, we can continue to drive that forward so we can continue to evolve. We don't ever want anything to stymie because, people aren't doing the right things. Let's get on the right trajectory and keep going forward.
Yeah.
That's a key point. Like now that we know there's some opportunities out there, I'm speaking to a minority Black community. Now it's our responsibility to get ourselves to that and prepare yourself now because there's going to be some opportunities moving forward and we just got to be prepared for it. Legitimately doing the right thing, and that can help that wealth gap. That can spur economic development. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that can come out of this if we play our cards the right way.
So before we get to kind of closing questions, just to piggyback off what you just said, we kind of call it like the black wave, right? Like since George Floyd, it's been this black wave that businesses like Black-owned agencies and Black in the Middle podcasts, like we are taking advantage of this opportunity. Because people want to hear our voice. They want to be led by companies that are diverse in perspective. How are you guys in the banking industry doing the same?
No, there's a lot of conversations. For one, like there was, I think was it Kauffman Foundation just invested like $5 million or something to like AltCap, which is a micro lending firm. So there's some money that's getting deployed in some vehicles where it can be deployed specifically to the urban core minority businesses. So there's some opportunities for that. There's some conversations about how can banks partner better with technical assistant providers like we talked about. So if we can say, hey, business owner, you're not ready for us. Let me direct you to the Small Business Development Center, Rebecca Goebbels, who can help you with getting your business plan together and get you prepared. Rebecca will get you all cleaned up, ready to go. Boom, now you're ready, loan ready. There's some funding and some resources being allocated to that because, I truly feel that that's the missing link. Banks will say no. I mean, I know that. We said no and let them walk out the door. No, we need to provide people with resources to get there. So I think to that, I do know also from the SBA perspective, there is it's a community advantage program, but it's called something else. Well, long story short, they're creating some programs to allocate resources as far as funding to urban core and rural communities. So there's going to be some programs being deployed from the Small Business Administration level that they can help get money
like
to the doors.
or disadvantaged businesses.
8A, yeah, absolutely. So there's going to be some programs being involved in that, and I think if we capitalize on those opportunities and utilize those resources, we can help that financial innovation. And one of the things that I do know, banks they want to help. I mean, they intentionally, authentically wanted to help some banks, but I truly feel that if we have some great opportunities, some great examples of why it's important. Don't be scared of us, Black community. We got money to earn, and if we give them some reasons to continue to want to invest in us, they will see the opportunity, and there's going to be some really good partnerships. And I know there's like JP Morgan Chase and Apple and some other put money into Black banks. So now Black banks can go after, they're considered CDFIs, community development financial institutions, where they're required to do loans in the community. And or that's their mission. And so they are getting additional capital and cash flow to be able to do that, because it's one of the challenges is they didn't have the capital to do some of these loans because, obviously regulatory reasons, but now they're getting this influx of cash they can do more lending out there in the community and take on some of that risk where maybe a bank wasn't comfortable. So I truly feel that there's some opportunities in that, and that's from a banking standpoint. I know there's others that I'm missing, but those are just some examples of what's happening out there.
Awesome.
So I have one last question around the opportunity of which you speak, except for in the inverse. But after George Floyd, there were a lot of commitments made to people of color to advance through a banking system that was not filled with too many minorities as employees. Mm-hmm. Are those promises being fulfilled? Are you seeing more minorities rise through the ranks within, maybe not just your bank, but just I would imagine you have a network of people that are within the banking system. Are we seeing those upper management roles, VP roles be?
I would say that's a work in progress.
Okay.
I would say it's not going to happen overnight.
Of course not.
I do know, even again, when I took over in the commercial lending space in Kansas City, there's
just you?
300. I am the only black commercial lender in my bank, which is it's not a good thing, but I appreciate the opportunity, and I've been able to serve some people. But one of the things I would say is I've met, I know a network of my, 15 commercial lenders that were in my space in Kansas City. And it's like, 300 banks or so. So I am having conversations with senior leaders and CEOs of these banks where my Urban Financial Services at to say, hey, there's probably some talented young folks in your bank. How do we bring them up, get them engaged, get them in the commercial lending spaces, give them the opportunity to be in lending or mortgage or underwriting or a loan assistant, whatever, and how do we open up those doors? So I would say there's still some opportunities, but we have Esther George with the Federal Reserve Bank. She's big on minority development and growth, and she's one of the power players in the Federal Reserve banking system. She's strongly encouraging. So we have the right people at the table. Nice. It's just a matter of us taking, and it's also our responsibility to engage other people to come into the industry too, because it's one thing of saying, hey, we'll hire them, but we got to encourage people to get in that position and take advantage of the opportunity.
Well, that's one of the things I do love about something you said early was, you all are out kind of spreading the word, spreading the gospel that there's opportunities and getting people and inviting people into the industry, because I believe the more people we have in the industry, the better effective change and the better we can propel things forward for all races, but especially for the African American community.
Yeah. Well, and I would assume that banking is no different than every other industry where every company has now a DE&I VP or director and trying to, live that mission through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they've got to be intentional.
They got to be intentional.
They got to be intentional. They got to go find people.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's and one thing I try to tell my folks is anybody I interact with who want to get into the financial services, and you talk about myths, that you gotta have be really good at math. No, you don't. That's why we got spreadsheets and calculators and Excel. That you have to dress a certain way. There's I haven't wore a tie in 4 or 5 years. This is what I wear. So you don't have to wear a tie if you don't want to. You have to network and be in all. No, you don't have to. You just have to be good at your craft. Character is a big deal. Have some type of passion that, to help and serve. You can get into the banking industry, and there's so many opportunities that exist within the banking industry. You don't have to be a commercial lender. My wife hate going to parties and talking and schmoozing. That's my thing. I don't mind. As long as there's beer and wine and Crown Royal, I'm good. And so, but there's so many levels. So the more we get people infiltrated into the system, the better. And then once we're in there, let's take advantage of opportunities and feel empowered to apply for those jobs. I've had people who are like, I don't want to do this job. I don't know if I can do it. Girl, if you don't go out here and apply for this job, do it. Hey, black is kind of it's in right now.
That black wave.
Exactly.
You got skills, and you can do the job. So it's us getting over that hump, feeling like we can or cannot do that job. No, we can. It's just a matter of
gotta make them tell you no.
Yeah,
don't tell yourself no. Absolutely. Make somebody tell you no.
Make them put their hand on your back and push you out.
You know what I'm saying?
But you know what I'm
saying? If they don't like you, they'll escort you out.
They will, trust me, especially in the back. They'll escort you.
Yeah, it'll push me to put a lot of money through my bank.
Yeah, brother.
He's still feeling the wounds.
Man.
To the left, brother.
Hey, man.
You send them your ledger every month, like this could have been you.
I'm fine without you.
Chose otherwise.
Exactly. I hope y'all fail.
This could have been you.
All right, so 2 closing questions.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about financial literacy for just the underserved, whether it's kids in elementary and high school that they just not getting the right education, or it's us, growing up black in the middle and maybe not getting an education from, our elders. Where can one go to be more financially literate?
If it's not in your household, I would say there are some money smart programs online that is ran through the FDIC program, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. I always got to make sure I say those acronyms, but basically they are regulators within the banking industry. They have financial, I guess, literacy programs and tools that can help you use that. The Federal Reserve Bank also has tools online to leverage that. I'll say worst case scenario, get on YouTube. There's so many YouTubes, and you got black in the middle.
TikTok, as Herman would say.
Hey man, you can learn a lot from TikTok.
Just engage. I mean, if you're a book reader, if you audio books, read some books. There's, we talked about our book, Millionaire Next Door.
Yep.
Think and Grow Rich is a great book. There's so many. The Richest Man in Babylon is a great book. The Color of Law, if you want to really get behind the scenes of what happened, as far as where we came from and why we are where we are, it's a great book to educate yourself by Mr. Rothstein. But educate yourself. And I would say go online. We have the power in our hands. There's so many tools. There's mint.com. There's bankrate.com. There's a lot of resources available out there that we can take advantage of. We can be on TikTok, but you can also just Google Mint, Google Bankrate and find your knowledge there. And I don't totally believe everything about what's my guy name, Dave
Ramsey.
I like him. I'm not.
He gonna end up people getting divorced.
But I don't agree with all his concepts. But that the thing that me and my wife joint, I did take that out of it, and it took me forever. But those things, just educate yourself, because there's so much information out there now that we don't have an excuse not to be somewhat financially literate. And if you don't know, go to your bank. You go to your credit union. Ask questions. We have those resources to give to you.
So just go to the bank and be like, "Yo, I need a banker.
Yeah,
teach me,
Who wants me?
What resources do you got?
Get your hand off my back.
Put your hands on my pocket.
Bro, they wouldn't even teach me, dog.
Oh man, I'm gonna find out that bank. He gonna come out once this air.
The hell with him.
We're gonna really hear the true story of what happened, right?
All right. Second question is, how can our listeners support you in any of your philanthropic or professional endeavors?
Oh, I appreciate that. So the Communities Banker, find me on LinkedIn. Is my only social media outlet right now. People keep telling me I need to do more, but I'm working on that. Also, I'm involved with Early Start, which is formerly known as United Inner City Services. It's a great early childhood education program. They're really teaching those kids, and we're going to be doing some things about financial literacy at the age of that age, because if you can teach them how to talk about dimes, nickels, and pennies and quarters, they'll learn that and hopefully transition that to the earlier they learn it. Hopefully down the line they'll gravitate and kind of understand financial literacy at a younger age, because they learn it. Urban Financial Services Coalition is an organization I'm involved with nationally. We're doing some great things. We have some great programs on LinkedIn, just various topics. We're connected with all of the regulators. We've got some good programs coming up that will be educating some lenders, educating the community about commercial lending, just getting involved in the financial space. And then lastly, if you are a business owner that needs some support, Prospect Business Association is an organization here locally in Kansas City that's doing some really great work out there to help businesses get prepared for lending or any basic business knowledge. Small business development centers, connected with them. So those are some, I would say, to support me. The only way you can support me is support yourself. Hey, get out there, ask questions. And that's one thing I want to stress in your banker. They should be comfortable with you asking them any question, because it is our responsibility as financial stewards to provide resources and information. And so if your bank don't do that, you need to find another bank. And that's real talk. And if I do a terrible job of it, find another banker for real. But the goal of it is it's our responsibility to educate. And so I encourage you to ask questions. redo your research. There's so much information out there that's available, and that's how you can help me, is to help yourself.
Outstanding.
Hey,
All right,
it
cool.
is what it is.
All right.
Did I pass the test?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh man,
So, all right, so that was a great pause to stop, but I do have some more questions for you real quick.
let's do it.
Profit First, are you familiar with that book?
No, but I'm gonna read it now.
Yeah, so it's been going around through the startup entrepreneur community for like the last few years, where essentially it's pay yourself first.
Okay.
Right. So when I started my last agency, I essentially had like a payroll of everybody except me. Right. Just to build the business, everything that we got, I reinvested into the team, into contractors, into software, computers and shit. And I didn't pay myself for 3 years. And, I was like a martyr falling on my own sword, like a dumbass, which I still believe in the philosophy, but to an extent. Right. So Profit First is like the first thing it says is they have like a calculator, like a worksheet you can do to see like how profitable your business is. And then like the next step is to open 5 accounts. And he's like, open up an account where you pay your bills through, open up an account where you deposit your money in, open up a profit account, a owner's distributions account, and a tax account.
I feel like he running my offense.
And so every
You feeling some type of way?
I feel like I should have been jotting. Go ahead, man.
So with every check that comes in, you basically have percentages for each one of these accounts. And so 30% goes into your profit account, 10% goes in the tax account. And so you have that there, and instead of like what probably a normal lay business owner would do is like, all right, it's the end of the quarter, it's the end of the year. Yeah. What I got left for me?
Right.
Oh, nothing, because I paid all these other people first to run the business. But if you take it out, as soon as you get it, then you're just working with what you have, and you're constraining yourself, from a business standpoint. It seems like a great model. I got super excited when I read the first couple chapters, but then he wouldn't let me go through without actually doing this stuff. So, and I got an audio book, so I got to buy the book, do the worksheet and all this shit. So I haven't finished yet or done it yet.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get your thoughts on that approach.
I go after the model of KISS, man. Keep it simple, stupid. Anything that will help you. If you can't explain it to your grandmother, 80-year-old grandmother, I say don't do it. You know, because once you get bogged down in the details and trying to figure it out, by halfway in, you might get lost and get frustrated. So
you lose the big picture.
You lose a big picture. So whatever, honestly, that sounds like a good model. It can work for somebody. But I would say find a system that works for you, that's simple, that, if you got a spouse that you both can follow, if it's a business, you and your business partners can follow, because that's going to be the important piece of execution. We can read all the books. We can create all the spreadsheets, but if we're not executing,
right,
on
and that's in my mind. It's like, all right, the first is chapter 2, and I got to go open up 5 bank accounts.
Yeah. It just sounds like
I don't even like Bank of America.
You already got 4 accounts.
Yeah,
so you gonna have 9,
bro.
Yeah,
I got 4 banks.
yeah.
And each one is like, well, you need a savings account too.
Of course, man.
so you got eight accounts.
Ridiculous amount of accounts. So
Did Wells Fargo get in trouble for opening up multiple accounts on people?
They did. Yeah.
Hey, man, that could be another.
lawsuit,
Hey.
class action.
Hey, man,
That wasn't
they
under my
forced me. They forced me to open these accounts.
They forced
I mean,
me.
that's how Arvis was. They were like, or Community America. for
Arvis
sure.
was like that. They wanted me to open a savings. I said,
Yeah.
nah, man.
And so I have like our personal, we have a checking and savings, and then Brands that Speak had a checking and savings, and then they wouldn't let me deposit over $2,500 checks on mobile, which means I had to go to the ATM or a banker every time.
Yeah.
So then I opened up a Capital One account. They wanted a checking and savings. Oh, and
What's
here's a
in your
credit
wallet?
card.
Yeah.
Nothing is left in my wallet, bro.
And that just sounds like cost, because the cost of having an account on a banking system costs them money, right? So if you're not putting any money in that savings and checking account,
I ain't even touching them.
yeah, so they're losing money. So, but whatever. But I would say do whatever works for you, but keep it simple. The more simpler, the better. That's my philosophy, because the more complicated you get discouraged.
How much shit you got to import in a TurboTax?
Right.
TurboTax.
Ain't we got that many URLs?
Right. For real. So
All right. So second question, just from personal, experience or whatever. So So with the agency, right? So Udall. So we have Bank of America checking, 2 checking accounts because we merged. I merged 2 companies, right? And they had a checking account, and then we opened up a new one for the new company, and then we have a credit card, which is like a line of credit. So basically, we met with the Bank of America people when we merged. It was like, hey, put Tim on the account, blah, blah, blah. He's a new whatever signee. This credit card thing is weird. I need you. It doesn't have any points. Like, there's no benefit. And so the banker was like, oh, well, I'll fix that. 2 years later, nothing has changed. It's still bullshit and confusing. I still don't have a credit card with my name on it. So now I have my old agency that merged, right? I still keep those bank accounts open because I have a credit card. I have direct access, blah, blah, blah. So with Udall, I have 3 banks, 2, 4, 6 accounts, and a line of credit and a credit card. And then we have our SBA EIDL loan, and that's it. I don't really have any other action going. Is this mess? Is this good for a new customer at a bank like yours, or to work with you instead of
Your face is,
these
I want to deal with that shit.
I'm gonna give you about 3 accounts. We're gonna give you 3 accounts. We'll give you a credit card.
But to your
We're gonna
point,
keep it
I just
moving.
need to
Yeah.
I need to simplify all this shit
Yeah,
because it's driving me crazy.
I don't know if they charge you fees for some of those accounts. You probably haven't even checked your statement. So yeah, they probably charge you $2 or $3 because I know sometimes banks charge you if they're inactive.
If you don't
right?
use it, yeah.
Or there may be a certain amount of fee, or maybe a fee if you don't keep a certain balance in your account. So my main thing is look at all your bank statements, simplify that, because again, the more complicated you make it, the more challenging it'll get, and then the more I guess you just don't want to deal with it. So I would say keep it simple. Maybe 3 accounts. I know people have a payroll account. They have their operating account, and they may have like a business savings account. Or
my question is
or
though, can I
account.
bring this mess to you?
Absolutely, we're gonna simplify it. We're gonna cut it down. We're gonna shape it up. Yeah, for sure. But absolutely,
And I can get a credit card with some.
I need your account. I need your
benefits.
account. I need your. I won't walk you out. I'll put my arm around.
All right,
you.
there we go. There we go. Perfect, man.
I won't give you the small one. But
Throw you out like
into the
Jazzy
room.
Jeff.
right? I know. But no, absolutely, and that's one of the things that I, obviously I love educating and being out. But there's things like that to me it's simple. It's like, okay, yeah, we just do this. But from a business owner where you're in it every day, or you just living life with your family, you're not thinking about how simple it could be because you're worried about keeping lights on and running a business.
The time it will take me out of my day to close these accounts down, make the transfers so that it makes sense, open up the new accounts, give all my new information.
We'll make that easy.
I just don't.
Okay, go get your cashier's check and just bring all them.
Cut me a check. Honestly, I encourage you, don't close it all at once. It's like a 60-day process because you might have things coming out. You got payroll, you got bills. Write a $100, $200 check, put it in the bank, and then start slowly transitioning that money over. And then once you get that last check or you transfer that last payroll piece, you cut them off and you're gone. We'll go ahead in that process, start getting you your credit card set up so you can have that. So by the time you're ready to start using that account, you have everything already lined up. All you need to do is cancel. And honestly, you don't even have to cancel your credit card with them. You can keep it open just in case for whatever. But the other checking accounts, I would do away with it.
Bro, I just got the best business idea. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Oh, shoot. He's PPP. He's hustling.
It should happen once a week.
It does. So that's one thing I would.
It'll be like,
Is this going
gonna set an
to
appointment.
be on the podcast?
Probably.
yeah,
All right,
man.
then I'm not going to say
No, we
anything.
raw and uncut.
Yeah.
No, man, shit. We about to build that shit.
Yeah, there we go. He got an idea, don't he?
Always.
All right, we're gonna talk about it because 13 listeners are already thinking about it.
Yep.
Oh, man.
One of them's already working on it.
They're not.
They already got their business plan going. All right.
Dang, I was going to ask you one more. Oh, you got payroll, right?
Yeah. So we use Gusto.
Okay. They
And-
charge your expense? We won't have to
Oh
talk
yeah, it's $230 a month to.
How many employees do you
to
have?
pay? Basically 11 full time, and then I pay my contractors through it. So every person that I pay through it, they charge a fee. But I run I run payroll, my benefits through Gusto. Our 401k goes through Gusto.
Okay. So they kind of handle all
That's
of
why
that.
you low cash right there.
Yeah. So that's
We
why
might be
the
able to talk
fee.
about it. We might have some solutions for you.
I'm all about simple. Like I just want to push a button and just be on autopilot, right? So I'm okay with paying those fees for the convenience, but if I can get the same convenience for less money, yeah.
That's why it's important to have that relationship with your banker.
Not the kind of relationship y'all was
See
working on.
how often they put their hands on your back. Yeah, no, that's
I love it.
yeah, man.
All right. Anything else, fellas?
Nah, man. Not from here. Herman?
Good, man. I
Well,
appreciate it.
I want to appreciate you for coming out, man.
Yeah, man.
And giving up your evening to come hang out with us, man.
I appreciate
You
it.
could have been anywhere in the world,
But you're here with us.
That's right.
and we appreciate
Love
that.
to come back if there's anything that we want to talk further about. We can dive
You can
into
tell
this.
you can tell we hella curious about money.
I know, and I got some within that organization. I got some people who know different parts, investments to HR to HR stuff, but
man,
marketing
I
and
don't need
banking
nobody in
business. Yeah, taking over your
Yeah,
side,
man.
but all
Wrong.
lines of business, all lines of business. We got them, so we'll love to bring them on for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
man, that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.